welcome back to our channel. It is Imelda here from Three Scrappy Sisters, and I have a 12 by 12 process video to share with you, and I am using the Felicity Jane Mila kit, and I am scrapbooking a photo of my son, who is in this photo on the right, and my nephew, who's on the left, and they're just outside standing on this huge boulder, I guess is what you would call it. We went to my husband's yard. He had to do some work and run this really huge excavator he's got there, so we brought the boys with us. My nephew was hanging out at our house and my niece was at my sister's house, so it was just the boys and they had a lot of fun there. So I am, like I said, using the Mila kit, and I am hoping at the beginning to do something a little bit different. I want to use some colors that maybe I don't necessarily am drawn to very often, but as I always do, I kind of revert back to what I'm comfortable with. So I am using a lot of white space, like always. So I am going to mat this photo on this lovely brown cream color with the scallop on the bottom, which I love. It's so Felicity Jane. They do it in every kit, and I just love it. I love it. So I am going to use that part there. I do have this Project Life card that I am using, and it says today's adventure, which I thought was perfect because it's always an adventure when we go over there, and the boys love it. So I'm just trying to think at this point what else I am going to mount my photo on, and I really like this olive green tone that is included in the kit, so I'm going to look for some of the other elements. I am using white background, like I said. I cut it out of the video, but prior to this I prepared a sheet of paper with gesso, and then I tried to do some of the packaging technique with like a gray ink, and it didn't work. I didn't like it, so I scrapped that and I took it out. But I am using, as always, the back side of, it's just a 12 by 12 plain, I shouldn't say plain, a 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. It's really old style scrapbook paper, and I don't like the pattern on the back of it. I just have a whole stack of them that I bought, I think, online somewhere. It was like, not eBay, some like online community shopping thing. So I just bought a huge stack of it, and that was way back when I was just starting. So some of the patterns were okay, some of them I liked. What I didn't like, and the ones that were white on the back, I kind of put aside. I was using it for stamping images onto, but now that I am very into using white as a background, I just use it for that purpose. And it works really well. I like it. So I don't have to buy cardstock or white paper. So what I've done is I've gone through the ephemera pack, I've gone through the chipboard pieces, and I've selected some of the pieces that I am hoping to use. I really like the gold glitter that's included in this kit, as well as these flowers. But because it's a boy page, I didn't really want to use a lot of frilly stuff, especially because they're playing outside in the dirt, on the rocks, climbing around. So I wanted to keep it pretty simple. So I'm just going to use the leaves. I am using this striped paper, just the green, for some strips of it, and the back side, which is a polka dot. As you saw, I did cut 1 inch all the way around that paper just because I do like that polka dot, and I'm thinking maybe one day I'll use it as a border background to the entire page. So I gutted the center, and I am just going to use a couple strips of it. So I am going to put that behind the photo, and my idea here is now that I am going to add some machine stitching. So I'm going to glue this and add some machine stitching and come back when it's all done. And with the power of internet computer editing, it's all done. So what I've done is I've done some straight stitching, some zigzag stitching, as well as some, it was already preset. I guess my mom had used it to a zigzag stitch that I never use, but it had started and I just figured, why not just use it? I'm going to do a whole bunch of different stitching anyways. So you'll see in the close-up a little bit later, but there are a couple different zigzag stitches and straight stitches. So I thought that I would leave some of the thread that was kind of hanging off of there to the left. I thought I would leave that instead of adding it later as like a thread nest part of the cluster, just to give it some texture and some dimension. So I did leave that there, and you saw my hand kind of swirl it around, just so it's not just dangling there. I bunched it all together. So here I'm just adding, as I always do, some foam to the back of my photo for some height and dimension. And I am just going to add that with my ATG. I don't like adding it with glue just because it is a porous surface and the foam sucks up the glue, so there's almost nothing left to adhere to the paper, so I just use the ATG. And so I am pretty happy with the placement. I was going to try and do maybe like a center layout, weighted in the center, but I didn't really like how high the photo was sitting just because of where I put the strips of paper and the stitching. So I went back to weighting it to the right. So now I'm going to bring back my pieces that I have selected before, and I am going to arrange them in a way that I am happy with. I really like this chipboard piece that says happy on it, only because it's such an awesome font, first of all. Second of all, it fits perfectly side to side, covering the top of the photo. Not that I want to cover it, but it was almost like there needed to be something there. And it was just perfect. So my title is going to be Today's Adventure, Happy, which with those two, it usually always is. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to bring in a couple more elements with the green. It's almost like an olive army type green, which is perfect for this photo and the feel that I want to go for. And I'm going to add some of the chipboard stars and hearts and some more of the gold glitter. So I'm just going to basically glue everything down at this point. I am just taking right now my scissors and cutting off the flower that was attached to that leaf, only because I do love it and I want to use it for something else. So instead of just tucking it behind there and forgetting about it, then I'm gonna use it for something else, some part of other layers. So I can kind of hide the piece that's missing and just have a little bit of the flower, and in this case I'm just going to hide the piece that's missing and just use the leaf. So I am gluing this part here that just says remember, and I only added glue to the part that's adhered to the photo only because it is raised up a little bit because of the foam. And I'm going to layer some pieces under that to create a cluster. This label here, I guess I could have stamped the date onto it, but I really just wanted a little bit of the gold peeking through. I'm not really one for putting the date very often. I find sometimes I forget to do it and then I think of it after and then there's no place to put it, so I might just write it on the back. But I don't find it necessary to always put it on the front of the page. So yeah, so I'm just gonna pretty much glue everything down. I've already got my right hand cluster down, so I don't have to worry about those things moving. Okay, sorry about that. It was just my phone ringing, and it's just Bella calling from school. She's not feeling well, so I had to go and pick her up, but I'm back. and I'm just going to continue from where I left off. So I'm just gluing everything down, and pretty much, oh, here at this point I realized that I had placed a piece of foam under the photo right on top of all the layers, so it was kind of making the photo a little bit wobbly. It was too high on one side, so I just peeled the foam off and continue on my way. So I'm just going to use my T-square ruler, make sure that it's straight, lined up properly, and that's good. And now I'm going to adhere with my Scotch Quick Dry this Happy. Sometimes I really love the Scotch Quick Dry, and then other times it's kind of annoying because if you have a lot of places to put glue on, you take too long, I guess, and then it doesn't stick properly, so then you have to apply more glue, so which is what's happening here. I think I end up using maybe my ATG, because this fine line bottle, it comes out really fine, so I end up taking too long, so by the time I go to glue it, it doesn't stick. So I just use my ATG to stick it to the photo, and then that was that. So I'm gonna adhere all of these little pieces here and there, and then I am going to go in with some enamel dots and some ink splatters, and then I'm done. So let's see here, I'm just going to do one last look. I am trying to figure out what I want to put on top of this little thread mess cluster. It's not a mess, I like it. So I am just trying to figure out what to place there, and I have come across this stamped image from the kit that says this and that, which I thought was pretty perfect because these two are pretty much a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They're very similar, but they're very different at the same time. So I am going to glue that down with my hot glue gun, and I moved a couple of the chipboard, I think it was a star or a heart. I just moved it out of the way so I can put this and that, and then I just added it elsewhere. So I've done the ink splatters already with my Honey Swap Color Shine in black, and now I'm going to add some enamel dots in black, and I believe it was a light blue, and that was it. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and welcome to all of our new subscribers. We see that we've had a couple more in the past week or so, which we're really excited about. Thank you for joining us, and please let us know if you would like to see anything in particular, and we'll try our best to get that to you. Thanks again so much. Have a good day. Bye.